now, cases of coronavirus have halved from 54,000 earlier in the month, but deaths and hospitalisations remain higher than they have been for months. Experts say the drop in cases is partly because the Euros have come to an end and people aren't meeting up anymore to watch those football matches. Well, someone who thinks that they may have caught coronavirus at one of the matches is the billionaire Phones for You founder John Caudwell, who joins me now. John, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
First of all, how are you? Tell me what happened.
Well, I'm not sure I caught it at the Euro matches or whether it was the weekend after in a motorhome on an Anglesey race circuit. But it certainly came on very, very quickly and was quite severe for the first 4 or 5 days and then gradually eased off. But it was very, very unpleasant for about a week.
John, were you double jabbed?
I wasn't, no, because I'd been staying in Monaco and invited to get my jab in the UK and wasn't able to get back for that because of travel restrictions. And then when I got back to the UK, I more or less immediately got COVID.
I mean, that is bad luck. What do you think about vaccination? You're still planning to get them, obviously. And what do you want to say to people about the fact that this virus is still out there? We keep hearing from the government lifting restrictions, but then also saying, on the one hand, proceed with caution. We're not out of the woods yet, and you're testament to that.
No, we're not. But then a lot of people who are double jabbed are getting COVID as well. In fact, my brother was one of those that got it at the same time as me. And he's fared worse than I have, so his symptoms have been worse. Now, I'm not for one moment saying that's a negative against the vaccine, far from it, but the vaccine is no guarantee that you're going to get less symptoms or not catch it. As far as the vaccine goes, I think we've done an amazing job of rolling it out in the UK. I am a little bit worried about making it compulsory for people, especially younger people. But but we have done an amazing job, and of course, it was the only way of solving the problem when we'd got such a catastrophic high number of cases. And I think, without doubt, the reductions that we've now seen this last week are because the number of people double jabbed are increasing as a percentage, and I think it's about over 70% now, so it's really good news.
Yeah, the scientists are saying it does reduce symptoms and in many cases keeping people out of hospital and from dying. But I do take your point that people who have been double jabbed have been going to hospital and are catching COVID still. That's why the Prime Minister says, proceed with caution. Let's move on to the business element of this pandemic. A key date for many businesses is August the 16th. Do you think it should be brought forward? Because, I was just talking then about the fact that the number of people being pinged and told to self-isolate has gone up again, some 700,000 in the week leading up to Wednesday last week. Do you think it should be brought forward?
Well, I've always felt that lockdown should be kept to an absolute minimum, consistent with protecting lives, saving lives, but also to do with people's mental health and the economic situation of the country. So I think if the government can see any way to continuing to reduce restrictions more quickly, that's a very, very positive thing, because we do have to get the world back to some degree of normality as soon as we possibly can. We do need businesses to survive, and there's a lot of businesses out there that are still under huge duress.
Yeah, it's a real tightrope to walk, isn't it, between keeping people safe and getting us back to some kind of normality, to getting the wheels of the country turning again. What commitments would you like to see from the government to get the wheels turning safely again? I'm thinking of things like a commitment to no more lockdown, vaccine passports, etc.
Well, I don't think they can make any commitments like that, because they do have to respond according to what's happening in the marketplace. And if we were unlucky enough to get an amazingly, or not amazing, that's the wrong word, a dreadfully vaccine-resistant variant that caused a real epidemic again, then the gloves would have to be off, and the government would have to do whatever they needed to do to make the appropriate saving of lives and saving of the health service. So I don't think the government can make commitments other than to say that we will free up society as quickly as we possibly can, reduce restrictions as much as we possibly can, and get Britain back to work.
What do you think about travel restrictions? Obviously, they impacted you because you could return to the UK from abroad to receive your COVID vaccines. But the government's announced these measurements that are coming into force next Monday that opens up a travel corridor for large parts of the EU and the US. So those travellers can come into the country without having to quarantine, not necessarily reciprocated the other way in the case of the United States. But what do you think about those lines of travel opening up?
No, I think those moves are excellent. We need to get the freedom of travel. We need to get the world working coherently again as soon as possible. But of course, we do need to be mindful of countries that may have a very low vaccination rate, that may have a very high incidence, and of course may have variants that are highly contagious. So I think, you know, we're moving in the right direction. I think there's every reason for people to be positive and feel positive about the direction we're going in, but there are still threats ahead that we can't completely ignore.
And John, while I've got you, I'm going to take full advantage of your business knowledge and ask you about a couple of stories. One was on the front page of the Daily Telegraph today. Women must have 2 in 5 board seats. Public companies with fewer than 2 female directors out of 5 will have to give investors an annual statement to explain why. They claims the top table of corporate Britain remains very male and very white. That's from the Financial Conduct Authority. Your reaction to that?
Well, I am generally not very much in favour of positive discrimination, unless there's somebody that's extremely oppressed. So if we look at the apartheid situation many years ago in South Africa, I think positive discrimination there was vital. I do think, you know, we have to always recruit the very, very best person for the job, regardless of sex, regardless of creed, regardless of religion, regardless of colour. And that should be the freedom of the employees. And I think a sensible employer who's going to be successful in the business will always make the correct decisions and employ the very best person that they can.
But should they be made to explain their reasoning as to why more women are not in the top jobs? Should they be made to explain that publicly to investors?
I don't believe so. You know, I think we just all have to recruit the very best person that we can. And we shouldn't need to explain that we're not doing that. I think positive discrimination, however, in favour of disabled people is a very positive thing, because we do need to help disabled people get to work as much as possible and to give their values and skills that they can in the marketplace. So there is a place for positive discrimination, but I don't necessarily feel that that is one of the appropriate places to use it.
OK, John Caudwell, really good to talk to you. Glad that you've recovered. We've run out of time because I really wanted to talk to you about billionaires going into space. You're staying firmly terra firma, I would imagine.
Yeah, I don't think my helicopter will quite do that for me.
OK, John Caudwell, thank you very much. John Caudwell there reacting to those COVID stories and its effect on business.